A very warm welcome, children, again back to the class of biology. And today we will be starting the third chapter, that is plant kingdom. Right, so we've completed the first lesson, we've completed the second, and now we will continue with the plant kingdom. Now, in the previous chapters when we had discussed, we talked about the broad classification of the living world. Right, and in that broad classification, we talked about the five kingdom system of classification, right, which was put forward by R.H. Whitaker in 1969, right, wherein he suggested the five kingdom system of classification, in which he divided the living world into kingdom Monera, Protista, fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. Right, so the brief characteristics of all the five kingdoms we've already discussed in the previous class, and in this class we'll go into the detail of the plant kingdom and the detailed classification of the plant kingdom. Now, just before we move on to the detailed classification of the plant kingdom, let us quickly go through a few classifications which are mentioned in your lesson, which we have done already very briefly in the previous classes. Right, so there are basically two types of classification. Classification is basically grouping of organisms with similar characteristic into a particular group. Right, so there are two systems of classification, and the first system of classification which was put forward by Aristotle and then again by Linnaeus was the artificial system of classification. Right, basically it was Aristotle only who had put forward the artificial system of classification. So we will first do the artificial classification, and this artificial classification was put forward by Aristotle, father of biology, and he's also known as the father of zoology, right, Aristotle. And what he did was, he had broadly classified the living world into two categories, that is kingdom, the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom. Right, now, what characteristics he took into consideration to group the organisms into the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom was that he just looked at the morphological characteristics. Right, what is the morphological characteristics? Just the outward appearance. Right, so he had taken into consideration the morphological characteristics. Right, so that is the outward appearance of the plants, and what he did was, he had taken into consideration the habitat. Habitat is the place where an organism is found to be living. Right, so in his classification, he had taken into consideration the habitat, the color of the plant or the flower, the number of leaves, the shapes of leaf. All these are outward appearances. Right, so these he had taken into consideration, or we can say in other words that he had taken into consideration the vegetative characteristics. Right, what is the vegetative characteristics? The vegetative parts of the plants are the roots, leaves, stem, etc. Right, these are the vegetative parts of the plants. Right, and the reproductive part of the plant is the flower. So he had taken into consideration the vegetative characteristics, and he had also taken into consideration the structure of the androecium. Right, so along with this, the structure of androecium. What is androecium? The male reproductive organ of the plant. Right, so he had taken into consideration that. So as a result, what happened was, he had separated many closely related species. Right, why? Because only the outward appearance or the morphological characteristics were taken into consideration, or we can say the vegetative structure was taken into consideration, and because of that, what happened was, there were many species that were actually closely related, but because of this consideration, that is the morphological characteristics, these closely related species were put into different groups. Right, so they were separated. Right, and simply because he had taken only few characteristics into consideration. Now it gave this type of classification, that is the artificial classification, it gave equal weightage to vegetative as well as the sexual characteristics, which was not right, which was not acceptable, since the vegetative characteristics are also influenced by the environment. Right, based on the environment, the vegetative characteristics can change also. Right, so that is basically based on the influenced by the environment, and equal weightage of the vegetative as well as the sexual characteristics should not have been given by them. Right, so now since this type of classification was not a complete classification and there were some flaws in this classification, so another type of classification was put forward, which was the natural classification. Right, so the next, we've already done this, so the next classification was the natural classification. Now this natural classification was put forward by R.H. Whittaker, as we've already discussed. R.H. Whittaker in 1969, right? It put forward the 5-kingdom system of classification, and along with it, credit is also given to Bentham and Hooker. Bentham and Hooker. Right. Now, what is this natural classification? The natural classification is based on the internal structure. The outward appearance, the morphology is also taken into consideration, and along with the morphology, the internal characteristics are also taken into consideration. So basically, this is based on natural affinities of the organs, right, of the organisms. Now, in this, what happened was, what they considered was the external features, of course, were taken into consideration, and the internal structure. This is basically more importance was given to the internal structure, which was not given earlier in the artificial system of classification. So the internal structure was also taken into consideration. Now, what are these internal structures? What were the characteristics that were considered in this kind of classification? Was number one, the anatomy. Right, anatomy means the structure, the type of cells, the type of tissues that are present. Right, so the anatomy was taken into consideration. Embryology, the development of the embryo. Right, what are the stages in the development of the embryo was also taken into consideration. Phytochemistry, right, so the chemicals that are related, so phytochemistry. Homology, the resemblances, internal, the developmental resemblances were also taken into consideration in the natural system of classification. So these were the broad 2 classifications, and we had also discussed the third type of classification, which was the phylogenetic classification. Right, the third type of classification, the phylogenetic classification. Now, this phylogenetic classification, phylogeny means the evolutionary history, right? So, this type of classification was based on the evolutionary history of the organisms. Based on the evolutionary history of organisms. What does this mean, evolutionary? How has the organism evolved? And here what is important is here the fossils play a great role, because the study of the fossil basically tells us how is a particular group of organisms related to the other, right? So now this type of classification, the phylogenetic classification, was influenced by Darwin. Right, so a lot of influence was Darwin's work, Darwin's study, gave a lot of influence to this phylogenetic system of classification, right? So this is basically based on the evolutionary relationship of the organisms, and this kind of a relationship, it exhibits true relationship, right? So this exhibits true relationship. Right, how an organism evolved, from which organism, what are the characters. That is how we get to study the connecting links also, right? So the fossils play a major role. Here the fossils play a vital role, right? So that's about the phylogenetic system of classification, right? So up till now we've done three types of classification: the artificial system of classification, which took into consideration only the morphological characteristics put forward by Aristotle; then the natural system of classification, which was put forward by Whittaker and Bentham and Hooker also. They also get a great weightage in this system of classification, and the morphology as well as the internal structures were taken into consideration in this type of classification. And then we talked about the phylogenetic classification, which involves the evolutionary relationship between organisms, that derives the relationship. Relationship means how one particular group of organisms are related to the other group of organisms, right? And fossils play a vital role in this kind of relationship, in this kind of classification. And now we move on to the next, that is also there in your book. You've already studied about taxonomy, right? Taxonomy is a term we have already studied, right? So what is taxonomy? It is the science of naming, defining and classifying groups of biological organisms on the basis of shared characteristics. What is this? It is the science of naming, right? Science of naming, defining, classifying, right? Groups of biological organisms, right? On the basis of shared characteristics, right? On the basis of shared characteristics. So what we discussed in this was that all those organisms which shared the characteristics, sharing the characteristic means they had common characteristics, were grouped under a particular taxon, right? What were the various taxons we studied? We talked about the phylum, the class, the order, the family, genus, species. These are the various taxons, right? So depending upon the characteristic, shared characteristic, they were grouped or put under a particular taxon. So this naming and defining of a particular group is known as taxonomy. Now based on this, we come to the next system of classification, which is known as phenetic classification. That's a very interesting type of classification, something new that you will learn now, because artificial, natural and phylogenetic you've already studied, right? So we come to the next, that is phenetic classification. Right. Now what is this phenetic classification? This is based on affinities, right? And similarities, even dissimilarities of characteristics present, which are present in the present day organisms, right? So affinities, similarities, dissimilarities of characters. I'll write it here. Affinities, similarities, dissimilarities. Obviously the organisms which are dissimilar are put in another group. So dissimilarities present in the present day organisms, right? So present day organisms, without searching for the evolutionary diversification, without looking into how they have been evolved, right? So the characteristics that are present in the present day organism are considered in this kind of classification. Their evolutionary history as such is not taken into consideration, right? So so under this we study the first type, that is cytotaxonomy. Cyto is a term related to cells, right? So cyto is a term related to cell, taxonomy, naming and grouping. So what type of classification is this? In this type of classification is based on the comparative cytological characteristics or structures, based on comparative cytological structure. What do you understand by this? Comparative, comparing different cell structures, right? So cytological structures, obviously we just do not consider the shape of the cell here. We consider many things that are inside the cell in this, right? So what is the main thing that is taken into consideration over here is the number of chromosomes. I hope it is clear now. Cytotaxonomy, comparative cytological structure, right? So the cytological structure is studied, and comparative means it is compared with other cells of other groups of organisms. So that comparison is made over here, and an inference is derived from that, and accordingly they are grouped. So what is the main thing that is taken into consideration into cytotaxonomy is the number of chromosomes, right? So under phonetic classification, the first thing is cytotaxonomy. Now we move on to the other classification under phonetic only. Is the next one is the chemotaxonomy. Chemotaxonomy. Chemo is a term related to chemicals, right? So again here the chemicals, this is also called biochemical systematics. This is also known as biochemical systematics, right? Biochemical, bio means living, chemicals present. So the chemicals that are present in the living organisms or the cells, living cells, right? It is the study of that, right? So chemotaxonomy, the chemicals that are present in various, since we are talking about the plant kingdom, so the various plants here. So here the classification is based on the characteristics of various chemical constituents, right? So it is based on characteristics of various chemical constituents, right? The chemicals that are secreted by the plants are very specific to their own category, right? So what type of chemicals are studied over here? Like the amino acid, right? What type of amino acid, which amino acids, not what type, which amino acids are present in a particular plant cell. So amino acids, proteins, right? The DNA sequence, etc. So I'll just write a few examples here, like amino acids, right? Proteins, etc. So these are the chemicals that are secreted. So based on this, what type of chemicals are secreted by which type of plant cells, they are again grouped, right? And the third type of phonetic classification is, the third type that we will study is numerical taxonomy. Numerical taxonomy. Right. Now what happens in numerical taxonomy, that the characteristics, the characters that are present in an organism, they are assigned a number or a code, right? So the characters are assigned a number or a code, right? So based on the numbers or the codes, or maybe both, the characters are studied. So for example, any particular code that is shown, based on that code we will know, okay, this, under this code, these are the characteristics that are present, right? So here the computer plays a major role, and like there are plus minus signs also that are used, right? So there are plus signs, minus signs. Theta here means that data is not available, right? So if there is no data available, then the sign theta is there, which means data not available. Right, so that is numerical taxonomy, right? And this is followed by computer analysis, right? So computer here it plays a major role in this. So with this, we've completed the classification under which the plants are classified, and we move forward to the general characteristics of the plant kingdom. Right, so before we get into the detail of the various categories of the plant kingdom, let us quickly go through the general characteristics of the plant kingdom. The general characteristics, right? The very simple characteristics, right? So talking about the general characteristics, we know that the plants cannot move on their own, so they are non-motile. Right, they cannot move, and so they are non-motile. They usually reproduce sexually, right? So they usually reproduce sexually. Sexual reproduction is seen in the plant kingdom. Another characteristic is that they are autotrophic. One very, very important characteristic is that they are autotrophic. Autotrophic means that they can manufacture their own food, right? And how do they manufacture their own food? From where do they get the energy to manufacture their own food? They get the energy from sunlight, right? So if they are getting the energy to manufacture the food from sunlight, then what type of autotrophic nutrition are these plants grouped into? That is known as photosynthesis, right? So the word photo means light, so here that is sunlight, and the word synthesis means formation, right? So formation of food in the presence of sunlight. So all the plants, they show an autotrophic mode of nutrition, and what kind of autotrophic mode of nutrition is? They show a photosynthetic autotrophic mode, right? Because you remember we've talked about chemosynthetic autotrophic mode of nutrition also, right? So the plants, they show photosynthetic autotrophic mode of nutrition. Now if they are showing this photosynthetic autotrophic mode of nutrition, then how do they show what is present inside the plant cell that helps them to trap the sunlight, right? So that is the presence of the pigment known as chlorophyll, right? So the presence of the pigment chlorophyll. It is this pigment chlorophyll that traps the sunlight to provide the energy. So if there is no chlorophyll present in the plant, then photosynthesis will not take place, because there's nothing present inside the cell which can trap the sunlight, right? So that is the chlorophyll. And what we know about chlorophyll is basically that it's a green colored pigment, right? So they are variously colored also. The different types of chlorophyll present. So chlorophyll A, B, C and D, these are the different types of chlorophyll present, and when we will study further, we will see which type of organism has which chlorophyll present in it, right? So basically chlorophyll A, B, C and D are present. Where is the chlorophyll present? It is present inside the plastids, right? Now plastid is one cell organelle that is found only in the plant cells, and they are not present in the animal cell. right? So plastid is a characteristic of plant cells only, right? Then again, we see that plants are multicellular. Plants are visible, so they are multicellular, obviously. Then they have a eukaryotic cell, right? We've already discussed what is a eukaryotic cell, presence of a well-defined nucleus or the true nucleus, and also the presence of membrane-bound organelles, right? So they have different organs. If you study about the morphology, they have different organs for anchorage, for reproduction, for support, and for photosynthesis, right? So we will write here organs. They have organs for anchorage, right? Reproduction, photosynthesis, and support, right? That means they have organs for anchorage, that is root, right? For reproduction, that is the flower, that is the or when we will study the further divisions, we'll see where are the reproductive organs present in the organism other than the flower in plants, right? So only a particular category of plants only have flowers, not all. So, but then they are present. So where are they present? So there is a specific organ where the reproductive, we can say spores are present or gametes are present, right? Then for photosynthesis, that is the leaves, right? And for support, that is basically the stem. Other than that, another characteristic feature that is present only in the plant cell is that they are characterized by the presence of cell wall, right? So this is one feature that is present only in the plant cells, the presence of cell wall, and the cell wall is basically made up of cellulose, right? And other than this, there are vacuoles present, right? So what is the cell wall? It is the outermost rigid membrane of a plant cell, right? And the outermost membrane of an animal cell is just the plasma membrane. Here outside the plasma membrane, they have a cell wall present, which is freely permeable. And then there are vacuoles present. If you remember the structure of a plant cell, we see that the central portion of the plant cell is occupied by the vacuole. A central vacuole is present. And because of the central position of the vacuole, all the other organelles in the plant cell are found towards the periphery. Periphery means towards the side, right? So vacuole is present. In animal cells, there are either no vacuoles present, and if the vacuoles are present, they are very negligible in amount. But in plant cells, there are big vacuoles present, right? So these are the basic characteristics of the plant kingdom, and the plant kingdom is further classified. Now we will talk about the classification of the plant kingdom and what are the characteristic features on which the plant kingdom is classified. Like we've been always talking about the basis of classification, right? All throughout, whether it was the 5 kingdom system of classification, the 2 kingdom system of classification, we always talked about the basis of classification. So what is the basis of classification in the plant kingdom? That means what are the characteristics that are taken into consideration to divide the plant kingdom into various categories, right? So the first characteristic that is taken into consideration is the plant body, right? So the plant body, now whether the plant body has a well differentiated structure or not, well differentiated structure, whether they have roots, leaves, stems, etc. present, whether it is just a body, is just a thallus like, right? So what is the differentiation? So accordingly, again, they are differentiated. Then the second characteristic that is taken into consideration is the vascular system, right? Vascular system means the presence of xylem and phloem. These are tubes that carry xylem carries water, phloem carries food, right? So the presence of the vascular system. Some organisms, some plants have a very well-defined vascular system with all the 4 elements present. Some do not have all the 4 elements present. They may have only 3 elements present in the vascular system. And some, if they are found maybe in water and all, then they do not have the vascular system present, right? So based on that, they are classified. And the third characteristic is the seed formation. Right, so the seed formation means whether the plants bear flowers and seeds or not. And if it does bear, then whether the seeds are enclosed in a particular structure with fruits or whether the seeds are naked. So these are the three bases of classification of the plant kingdom. That is the plant body, the vascular system and the seed formation. Now based on these three characteristics, we will just divide the plant kingdom, or we will classify the plant kingdom, right? The plant kingdom is basically classified into cryptogamy, right? And phanerogamy, right? Phanerogamy. So they can be called cryptogams or phanerogams, right? Now what are cryptogams? These are plants without seeds, right? So that means we have plants without seeds also, right? So cryptogams are plants that do not bear seeds. They are without the seeds. And phanerogams are plants with seeds. Plants with seeds, right? So in other words, cryptogams can also be called as seedless plants, right? Because there are no seeds present. And phanerogams are plants with seeds, right? Now the cryptogams are further classified into halophyta, thallus-like body, bryophyta. We've already briefly done all these things. Bryophyta, if you remember, bryophytes are the amphibians of the plant kingdom, right? And pteridophyta. I told you P is silent. Pteridophyta, right? So that is the classification of cryptogams, and the phanerogams are further classified into gymnosperms bearing seeds, right? And angiosperms bearing seeds are present inside the fruits, right? So gymnosperms are naked seeded and angiosperms have seeds which are present inside the fruits, right? Now further, these angiosperms are classified into monocots and dicots, right? So there's all further classification of all that we've done, right? So a brief recap of the plant kingdom division. The plant kingdom is classified into cryptogamy and phanerogamy. Cryptogams are plants without seeds or seedless plants. They do not bear seeds. Phanerogams